Welcome to the Clear to Send podcast, a podcast about wireless engineering, where we educate you on Wi-Fi technology, talk about design tips, troubleshooting, interviews, and the tools. Here are your hosts, Rowell and François.
Welcome to a brand new episode, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on Clear to Send. I'm excited to talk about this episode with François Vergès. How are you doing, François?
Very good. Hi, Royal. How are you?
I'm good. I'm been having a lot of allergy attacks lately. It's been pretty bad, but this morning I'm doing really good. Just need to, I guess, drink a lot of water. There's no allergy medicine that has worked.
Recording podcast doesn't work? I guess you'll see at the end.
We'll see how I get through this. I'm already feeling it, but we'll try to get through this. How are you doing? Because I know you're not in North America. You're somewhere in France, right?
Yeah, I'm in France right now. I'm at my parents, and I have the really good internet connection. So
yeah, we were just talking about this.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Even though we're like probably like close to 10,000 kilometers away. We have a pretty good link right now. So no, I'm doing very good. It's the afternoon here, and I'm happy to be recording with you. It feels like it's been a while.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while. I guess we've been pretty busy, and I'm still amazed at how there's almost no latency or delay in our voice connection here using Slack.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
All right, well, let's get into the episode. This episode, we're going to talk about Just the Tech, an event where you and I both were at Cisco headquarters, and we were able to speak with a lot of different people at Cisco about this new Wi-Fi 6 release, and it's a little bit more than Wi-Fi 6. There was even a switch that was talked about there. But before we get to that, we'll talk about some reviews that we just got and some news. So the first review, I want to thank Brian Dirth, who gave us 5-star rating. And he said, I've been listening to this podcast since September 2018, and I have to say it's the most enjoyable technical podcast I've listened to by far. It's so good, in fact, I've gone back and listened to almost all of the old episodes as well. From interviews and current news, 802.11 basics to Wi-Fi 6 deep dives, this one covers all of the bases. If you are looking for a way to fill your commute and have a passion for wireless engineering, do yourself a favor and give this one a try. Rowell and François, please keep the episodes coming. Thank you, Brian, for that review. That's a really awesome review. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. After that, I think Apple should introduce a 6th star, so we could have like 6-star reviews. We also got one from Shirley from the UK, and I don't know if it's a boy or girl. I'm going to say girl. And she says, "Gents, I want to thank you for providing an amazing podcast that I thoroughly enjoy, to the point that when I'm hammering the trail mill, I don't think music anymore. I think, oh, CTS podcast again. Thanks." That's awesome too.
Yeah, listening to us on the treadmill, I guess that's motivating somehow.
I don't know how she's not falling asleep on the treadmill, but listening to us.
Well, it's funny because the other day I was listening to our Wi-Fi 6 episodes just to refresh myself. And it's just,
that's perfect. Yeah.
As we record, it's always weird to hear ourselves talk. And so every time my voice came up, I always had a little cringe, why am I talking?
Yeah, but I guess you never get used to that, I guess.
Yeah, there's just no way. That's why I usually don't even listen to our episodes. But the Wi-Fi 6 ones, I wanted to get up to speed again and make sure I remembered the content that we had recorded. But yeah, it's good stuff. I really think we did a great job on Wi-Fi 6 episodes, and I think we still have a couple more. We're just delaying it.
Yeah, we still have a couple more to cover on the theory sides, and then now that we have Wi-Fi 6 clients and APIs, we could also talk about what we're seeing in the real life in 2019, I guess, today.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that in this episode, because yes, we do have some APs.
Yeah. So anyway, it would be. I think it would be nice if we can gather some data and then share that with you guys to just talk about the state of Wi-Fi 6 in practice today.
Yes,
because it's different from the theory.
It is, yeah. It's very different. It's just the way like the chipsets that are being used and all that. I mean, we'll definitely go into that in this video and in future episodes. So let's get into the news. There's just a couple of things, not too much, but MetaGeek did release a new tool called Wi-Fi Air. And if you haven't heard about this is a piece of equipment which you can connect to your phone, if that's iOS or Android, and it just uses your onboard chipset as well. Wi-Fi Spice Air's Wi-Fi chipset, and you get this spectrum analyzer basically in the palm of your hand, right? So there's an app that you download, and this hardware just puts the information into this app. It's a pretty small piece of hardware. It's got a radio on it, and like I said, it's for iOS and Android. It gathers all that Wi-Fi data, visualizes it, even the non-Wi-Fi interference. It's both on 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. You can see data such as BSSIDs, even associated clients. You can see airtime usage by client or even by the BSSID, and measure channel utilization, a lot of different things, filtering networks. So if you're trying to troubleshoot and you want less equipment or maybe smaller equipment, you could use the MetaGeek Wi-Fi Air. I think it's a pretty neat tool. I actually have my own version. I was part of the beta program. So in a future episode, we probably will go into a little bit more detail. I just want to share like what my experience is using the Wi-Fi Air, and also showing you guys what it looks like, which I could probably record a video on that.
It's a nice little tool. I think it's really nice if you want to bring like a smaller tool set, or if you already have like a big tool set to test different things and you just want to be able to test Wi-Fi as well. So it's probably targeting like a different audience, probably like service providers, technicians, and people like that. They'll go on site and then try to troubleshoot the Wi-Fi. The adapter, I guess, gives us more data on the RF, so we're able to see spectrum analysis, interference, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the device doesn't charge off of your phone, so it has its own batteries, and they're rechargeable AAA batteries, so you don't have to worry about this tool getting power from your mobile device.
Awesome. So that's the first news. And second news we have for you guys today is that Ekahau released their new Ekahau University program. So a couple of things with that. So they're changing the different training programs available to us. So we used to have the ECSE class, which was like a 4-day in-class training course. And then at the end of the ECSE course, you would get like an ECSE certificate. It didn't have any, time limit to it, I guess. And that was the only course available. So now what they did is that they reorganized the program. So now the ECSE became ECSE Design. So that's going to be like the entry-level class. It's still the same type of class, but at the end you'll get a certificate that's valid for 3 years now. And then you have the ECSE Advanced class, which is the 3-day class that you'll be able to take if you have the ECSE Design. And then ECSE Advanced goes into more, goes in depth on different topics such as reporting, spectrum analysis, packet capture, stuff like that. So it goes a little bit deeper for those who wants a little bit more than the ECSE Design class. Mm-hmm. And then later on, they'll be announcing a new ECSE class, but we don't have information on that yet. So if you go on the website, you'll see that it says exciting new ECSE class coming, but we don't have news on that yet. Now, they also, because they put a time limit to the ECSE certification, if you currently have an ECSE, what you could do is you could attend an online training and then go through like an online exam to pretty much transfer your legacy ECSE certificate into the new ECSE design certificate. And that will allow you to get the new certification, and also that will allow you to apply for the CSE Advanced class if you want to attend this one.
Yeah. So they're now going to the renewable certificate where you need to renew, which kind of makes sense because Ekahau changes a lot of changes within 3 years, to be honest. So I guess it makes sense to at least keep your certificate updated if you continue to use Ekahau.
Exactly. And if you take the online course and you follow it, you'll see that it's basically only covering the new features. It does a little bit of a recap on what we do in ECSE design, I guess the core elements of the class, but most of it is new features. So how to use the iPad, capacity planner, Sidekick. He covers the new features of the software. So I guess they just want the ECSE certified engineers to be aware of what's new and how to use it, how to properly use it. Mm-hmm. So I guess that was the main idea on introducing a time limit. One day I had a student, he was like number 91, I think, or 81. And when he took the class, initially he had to fly to Helsinki to take the class. And the software wasn't the same at all. So they actually asked him to redo the class. So I guess instead of asking all the CSE to retake the class, they put that in place, and then they can have a reliable way to update or to make sure the ECSE engineers are up to date.
Okay. Yeah, so if you guys want to know more information about ECSE, maybe you're looking to get started or you want to get some training, you can email me or François. We both also resell Ekahau training and also Ekahau Connect and all that. So if you guys have any questions at all, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, and we're more than happy to help you guys out.
Yeah, and if you already have your legacy ECSE, we also put a link in the description, and you can request to have access to the online course, so you can get yourself updated and get the new ECSE design certification.
Yeah, and I've already filled out the form. I think somebody actually manually just responds. I didn't get an auto response about anything because I do have to update mine from the legacy to the new version. So there is a link. We'll put that out into the show notes. That's cleartosend.net/169 if you're looking to update your legacy certificate, which is weird to say because it wasn't that long ago that I took the training.
Yeah. Well, I guess even the one that took it last week, I guess they're going to have to do it. I'm not sure. But
yeah, which is at least good that Ekahau provides this free transition, because that wouldn't be fair to those who just got the training and then they make this new training. But yeah, I did see some people on Twitter getting the new certification. So yeah, we'll see how that actually goes. The last piece of news, Cisco did release a Wi-Fi 6 video that goes over the fundamentals, and I thought it was a pretty good video. It was very informative. Now, for somebody who maybe doesn't understand wireless and it may be a little bit too technical, but it was a good balance, and they have some good analogies in there that talk about OFDMA, and they're using big rig trucks and highway lanes. So I recommend you guys take a look if you're looking to get the short version of what Wi-Fi 6 is. And again, we'll link out to the show notes. That one's a really good video.
Awesome. Cisco is a good segue to what we're going to talk about today.
It is. So we, you and I both went to Cisco headquarters. For me, it wasn't that far of a trip since I live in San Jose and the headquarters is over in Milpitas, which is just about 15 minutes away from me. And we went to this event called Just the Tech. And this was a couple of weeks ago, which was related to the big announcement that they had back on April 29th, I believe. And there was a lot of people that were there, a lot of people that you may know, people that we know as well, different people in the industry. I don't have the full list off the top of my head of who attended, but I do know that, Francois, you were there.
Yeah. We'll put the link in the show notes if you're interested. It's Cisco champions for the most part. So it was a nice group of people. I think it was like 15 of us. Mm-hmm. And then they had a full day organized for us. And we actually attended some presentation from Cisco distinguished speakers. And we were able to ask questions and exchange with them before, after, and during the recordings. And the Cisco reused these videos, I guess, as content for their YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and you check the Cisco channel, you'll see the videos and you can rewatch them and see what we talked about. They were mainly presenting their new work and their new equipments and the way they're going to do things with Wi-Fi 6, I guess. Their new strategy.
Yeah, it goes into talking. Well, for one, yes, they did record videos. They had a really nice video recording room, right? It was very fancy, lots of professional cameras. It was a lot more than I thought it was going to be, but they did record everything, and we'll also link to all the relevant videos in the show notes, cleartosend.net/169, and you could see what they talk about there if you haven't seen it yet. But I guess if we talk about what first happened, right? So we did have this welcome dinner. We all had barbecue. Unfortunately, Francois, I think you arrived a little late. You had some delays in your flight, but that's okay. It's just a lot of barbecue that we ate, but it was good to see everyone together. Get to introduce yourself to people maybe I haven't met. There was a couple of people I haven't met before, but I have seen them online. And then the next day we take a tour of the Customer Experience Center, which is that was a day before.
No, that was the first day.
That was the first day. Yeah, we take a tour of the Customer Experience Center. That was actually before the dinner. And so I guess I'll talk about it since you were still in the air. Not everybody was there yet. I think it was just more of getting together before the actual event. And in the Customer Experience Center, they have all their different products that they show to people who come to this Customer Experience Center. And sometimes it's a lot of people who come from big companies that come to check this out. So they have everything from cameras to routers and switches, industrial type switches, solutions that go into buses or very like really, really interesting environments. And so we get to take a look at that. And then they have what's called a virtual concierge in this building. And so what that is there's this TV screen. There's somebody who shows who's there on that TV screen. There's a table. And when you walk up to the table, he gets this little notification that someone's there, and he can answer any question you may have or help you schedule a reservation for dinner, right? So they're using what's that fancy Cisco telepresence unit. So it's kind of neat to see how they use that technology to replace somebody physically there with maybe someone on a telepresence unit. And they also have another room where they show kind of the history of Cisco, the old, almost maybe the original Cisco routers and their 1 millionth IP phone, all the awards they have. So the Customer Experience Center is definitely an experience, just going into like where Cisco has came from, where they are now. And then we also had a special visit from Todd Nightingale, who who just happened to pass by. He must have known that we were there. But for those of you who don't know, Todd Nightingale is the senior VP general manager at Meraki. So it's kind of fun to run into him and hear him talk. He even toured with us. We asked him if he wanted to join, but yeah, he's been at Meraki for quite a while. Probably, I think, since the beginning. But that was the tour. Nothing too special about the tour. It's a lot of equipment that they store there and kind of tell you the story of how that equipment kind of plays in with your network and what solutions you could do.
That's awesome. So that's what I missed. But I've heard all about it around dinner, so that was nice. I wonder if you can ask the assistant anything like, can you please order pizza for me and stuff like that?
He can probably do that for you. Practically anything. I don't know if there's anything off limits, but if you were there in a meeting and you needed food, he can definitely order the food for you.
That's pretty cool.
So then we hopped to the next day, which I was late for.
Yeah, so it started, we just started to have breakfast together, and then some of the Cisco champions had some gifts that they gave to each other, so it was pretty nice. And then we started the recording. So like you said, we went into their studio TV, I guess TV studio is pretty fancy. And then we started to get ready, and then started to record the videos. The first one that we did was just an introduction video with Sasha Gupta, and it was entitled "Reinventing Access Unplugged and Uninterrupted." So he was just going over the overall strategy of Cisco, just to give us an introduction. And then after that, it wasn't really technical. It was more like, marketing to give us a strategy. And then after that, we started the more technical presentation on Wi-Fi 6. And I think that's when you arrived.
Yeah. That's when I walked in and sat next to you in the corner.
Yeah. And I think Jerome Henry was the first one, if I recall, and he talked about open roaming and how Cisco works with device manufacturer to improve the end user experience over the Wi-Fi. So that was very, very interesting. A little bit frustrating for us because we couldn't ask a lot of questions, but we were able to record the podcast afterwards that we published last week. So that was nice.
Yeah, the thing about these recordings is they're very restricted on time. So there's only so many questions we could ask. Now there are discussions outside of the room that we get to have with different individuals, and the only one we were able to record, the only one that we had time with, was with Jerome Henry, which was the previous episode. And the topic of open roaming is a very interesting topic because there's so many moving parts to that, right? So there's a lot of you got your network operators, you have your ISPs, you have your different device manufacturers, and trying to make something work seamlessly across everything. It sounds like a big task to take on.
Yeah, it sounds easy. I mean, from the end user perspective, it's awesome. You have nothing to do, but in the back end, it sounds like a lot of work to do to put in place different entities, like you said. So it brings a whole bunch of brings up a whole bunch of questions for us.
It does, and I think we'll hear more about this in the coming future. I think it's still early on. They're still talking about it and still working with very specific companies. So hopefully we'll hear more soon. I think we came out with more questions than anything when it comes to open roaming.
So if you're interested, you can watch the video as well and see the presentation. Then we got two engineers on the stage, I guess, Fred Niehaus and then Jivan Patel. So Fred works for Cisco, I guess, and then Jivan works for Meraki. And then they came to present the new Wi-Fi 6 access points on both sides. So new Cisco Wi-Fi 6 Cisco access points and the new Wi-Fi 6 Meraki access points.
Yeah, and they brought these into the room. There is a table with all the equipment laid out. They even have the AP with the clear case, which I always think is great. And for those of you who have never sat in on a presentation that Fred Niehaus has done, even at Cisco Live, this one you should watch because he is known for throwing access points.
Yeah, and he did throw an access point at one point.
None of us got hit or injured during the process, but I think one of the reasons why he shows this is to show the sturdiness of an AP, its durability, because that floor that he threw it on was like, I think that was a cement floor, right?
Yeah, that's a concrete floor. So so that was nice to see all the different models of access points, and they went over, the new Wi-Fi 6 access point, the 9115, the 9117, and the 9120, and they talked about the differences, similarities between all of these models. And they compared these new models with the current models, so you can have an idea of where it stands and what we can be expecting for the future.
Yeah.
We took some pictures, so we'll share those pictures in the show notes. If you head over to cleartosend.net/169, you'll be able to see the pictures. We also took pictures of the new Meraki access points, the one that has a new shape. The new oval shape. Yeah,
it's an interesting shape. I'm still not sure how I feel about the design. The Catalyst 9100 APs I really like, and those compare to say your 1800 and your 2800 APs that are currently out, and the MX ones, the MX55 and 45, they look very similar, but to me, they look like some sort of spaceship from a Marvel movie or something. But yeah, we have a picture with Jivan there. And Jivan is the head of product marketing. So he does go into the Meraki story, the new access points. And then we spoke to him a little bit after this session and we got a good picture with him holding the access point. So we'll put that in the show notes too.
Yeah, maybe we can have him on the show and then he can tell us all about the new design too. And then, so you talked about the 9115, 9117, and then they released the 9120 as well, which is the equivalent of the 2800 series.
Yes.
And then in this new access point, I guess Cisco introduced a new chip, a new radio, I guess, that they call the ASIC.
Yeah, their new wireless ASIC that goes into it.
Yeah, exactly. And this radio is not used to serve clients, but it's used to do anything else. So all the monitoring pieces, all the gathering data, all the interference activity reporting, all the DFS stuff, everything that's not serving clients, I guess, is done by this chipset. And it's offloading all that work off the other radios.
Yeah, it's a completely brand new piece of hardware that connects. It's a little chip that goes into the AP, and that's kind of like their secret sauce when it comes to these new APs, because there's always a lot of talk about how the hardware doesn't matter, but for Cisco, the hardware does matter, and it's this new. They call it the Cisco RF ASIC, and it's their next generation clean air in this AP. And so looking forward to the capabilities of this chipset, because how Fred Niehaus described it was they have this piece of hardware now that allows them to do a lot more things. They just need the engineers to program up the software in order to take advantage of the hardware's capabilities.
Yeah, and it's I encourage you guys to watch the videos so you can get a better feel of what it is. And it's like Rowell said, it's going to be their secret sauce. And then I think they'll be able to integrate all the data with RM and make RM smarter, I guess. And then they talked about the new features that they could introduce leveraging this new radio.
Cool. All right, and then what else? We had
we didn't talk about the different chipsets, I guess. But you know how right now on the market, Wi-Fi 6 APs have different chipset, Broadcom, Qualcomm, and so on.
I think we should actually do another episode on that, because it's worth discussing when it comes to transitioning to the new Wi-Fi 6 APs and what you should look out for. The chipsets are pretty important. But yeah, the 9115, 17, and 9120, they use two different types of chipsets. One of them, the 9117, has a different chipset than the other two. And that one is slightly different because it doesn't do, upload OFDMA?
It doesn't do OFDMA, but it does 8-stream.
Yeah.
It supports 8-stream. The other ones, they do OFDMA downlink, I believe, but they only support 4 streams.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So I guess we can go back in details, and then we do have, I think you have a 9515, I have a 9117.
Yep.
So I guess we can compare.
Yep. And then the other thing that was discussed at Just the Tech was the Catalyst 9600, which is a chassis switch. And so this is their next gen switch that should be replacing the Catalyst 6K. I know those 6Ks are pretty robust and people don't want to let go of those switches. They are a workhorse, and so this is the next the one we should be using now, and it's a pretty heavy chassis switch. I helped Sean Wargo, who did the presentation, carry it onto the table, and I completely underestimated how heavy that would be.
Yeah, it's nice looking.
It's very nice, yeah, indeed.
Yeah. And then the part that I like is that it actually has a hard drive into it, so you could install VMs.
Yeah.
Any VM you want, I guess. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we did all those discussions, and then I think some of the best stuff that we were able to see was the Wi-Fi 6 testing facility, where they actually do the testing of this new hardware and the testing of any bugs that come out. They actually catch a lot of bugs before these APs are released, and it gives me a new sense of appreciation for what these guys do, because there's a lot of discussion out there on social media about the bugs that come out of Cisco's software, but they do a lot of work to try to catch these things, and there's only so many people, right? And these guys showed us how they do their testing, what that Wi-Fi 6 facility looks like, because this one is just strictly Wi-Fi 6. There's hundreds of clients that they have there in this testing facility, and they gave us kind of the rundown of how they do it. We asked them questions. There were some really good questions that were asked, right? Because we want to understand how they're doing their testing, because what's really important is that client device testing, right? But there's not many client devices out there.
Yeah, that's very interesting for us, I guess, because we were talking directly to the engineers who tested them, so we could go deep in the technical discussions, and I can't really remember what we can share and what we cannot share.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of it that was, I guess, NDA type material. But I guess all we can say is they do extensive testing, right? So if you look at what devices are, what Wi-Fi 6 devices are out there now, that's who they're working with to test. And if there are, one of the questions I asked was, if there was a TAC case open and there was an issue, would they get that TAC case and try to replicate it? And the answer was yes. Some of those do get to them and they try to replicate the issue, but they had racks of equipment where they were testing this. They were testing roaming. They were testing, I mean, you name it. They were doing all sorts of different testing, which was very cool to see how they do it. How they test it against the APs, what tools they use to test, like traffic. I don't know, what do you think, Francois?
And they also test something that I guess that doesn't come to mind to us right away, but they test the maximum, speed they could push on those equipment. I guess in the real world we'll never use those speeds. but they would just want to make sure that their equipment is
the actual capability of what it could do. And
the
didn't
actual
somebody
capability.
ask the question of 1024 QAM? Was that you, Francois?
I can't remember. maybe, yeah, maybe I did.
I think
I
that
wanted
did
to know
come
the
up.
effect. Yeah.
And
Oh.
the answer to that though wasn't, or was it a little surprising? Like they said it was possible, and you can get it at quite a distance. You don't have to be directly underneath the AP.
Yeah, and I was actually, happily surprised with that, and then it kind of matched what I've been seeing with my Galaxy S10 as well. Sometimes I do use 1024 QAM. So I'm a little bit more optimistic about it, especially in environments where the access point is not too high. It's like, like a typical office environment.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we'll see when we start deploying Wi-Fi 6 access point and measuring it on the field. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So we will have a different episode talking about the 11AX separately, their capabilities, because we do have other equipment that we want to talk about as well. But we just wanted to share our experience going to this event, which we were invited to from Cisco, called Just the Tech. And getting a behind scenes look at how Cisco runs things actually gives me like I really appreciate what they do behind the scenes and how much work that goes into it. And then we were also able to provide our feedback. But most importantly, I want to thank Lauren's team from Cisco for putting on such a great event. I thought it was very insightful. And inspiring, even just to see, what's out there, what's coming soon.
Yeah, exactly. And it was very well organized. We didn't have to do anything. Like, everything was organized for us. And we got to actually spend quality time with the people at Cisco and ask our questions. So yeah, it was very, very nice. We had dinner as well with some people from Cisco. Mm-hmm. And we could just exchange with the people and ask our questions. And so it was very, very nice. It was my first time in California as well.
Oh yeah. How'd you like it?
I didn't get to visit much, but it was nice to go over there. Yeah. Cool. And then I wanted to mention for the lab, we don't have any videos for the lab, but I know that Chuck from the YouTube channel.
I have some video. I just don't know what I can share.
Okay, perfect. I guess you'll be releasing, but I know Chuck from Networking Chuck.
Chuck has a lot of video. He recorded way more than I did.
So maybe he'll be releasing some videos, and then we'll link that as well, so you can have some more information on the presentation we got in the lab.
Yeah, I think we can share some videos and pictures from the lab if you guys are interested in seeing. I just have to get that cleared through Cisco first before I can post it. But I'll definitely share it if we're able to.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's our episode about Just the Tech. It was a great experience. If you guys have any other questions you want to ask, feel free to ask us. We will definitely have more content around what we just talked about, since we just kind of scanned the surface there. But we'll look forward to seeing what we're able to produce from Just the Tech. And they did give us, full disclosure, they did give us APs, Wi-Fi 6 APs. I have a 9115 here, which is MGig capable. Looking forward to trying this out, because I'm going to add it to a 3504, and then I'm also going to try it on the 9800 cloud version.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a 9117 that I want to try as well. Maybe I'll try the cloud as well. I'll see.
Yeah, give that a shot. We'll probably also do an episode on that as well. But there it is. Yeah. That's the episode. Check out the show notes at cleartosend.net/169. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks, guys.
See you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.